Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. I'm very pleased to have Shawn Mellott with me here today. Shawn is the Regional First Responder Sales Manager at MSA, the safety company. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
All right. So why don't we dive in first with that title, what MSA, the safety company, what they do, and what your role there is currently.
Yeah, so as you kind of stated there, my actual role is considered, the first responder sales manager. So what I really do is I kind of manage the distribution of all the fire service products that we manufacture. So it's kind of across the board, kind of head to toe for fire departments. And then we sell essentially all through distribution. And then I manage all the distribution and the distributors that actually sell and move our products. So that's kind of my side of things, what I do for the company. And then as more of the technology expert, I really focus and hone in on the technology aspect of it all. So any kind of big deals, any kind of conflict resolution where they're trying to resolve issues within the department, that they want to know about technology advancements, new innovations, any kind of like risk assessment, product solutions is what I really focus on.
Okay.
Those are really kind of my strong points there as we're kind of going through it too. So.
Okay. And is MSA national, global?
We're global. Yeah, we are all over the world. We're kind of the global leader in development, manufacturing, and really supply of safety products that protect people all across different infrastructures, whether it be industrial, fire, all the different platforms you can imagine.
Okay. Toxic, chemical, and everything.
Yep. Yeah. Mining. So MSA itself actually stands for Mine Safety Appliances. So we started back in 1914 as Mine Safety Appliances, essentially providing different tools and different safety features for mining. And it kind of blossomed into what it is now over the last, 111 years, I guess it is now.
Okay.
So
no more just relying on canaries.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hopes and dreams. Now it's for sure a safety thing when you get in those confined spaces.
Right. Okay. Very cool. And what's your region?
So my region is here in Arizona, where I live out here in Surprise. So I'm out in the West Valley. So I cover all of Arizona and then all of New Mexico. And then I have kind of the southern part of Nevada. So pretty much Clark County and south. And then all of the beautiful state of Hawaii. So I do get to travel there. And so it's a beautiful thing. I am very spoiled in that aspect. So thank you, MSA, for blessing me with that. So, but that's kind of the region I cover. And then being more of the product specialist, I do jump over to California and a lot of our local bordering states as just kind of like as kind of a team aid, just to kind of help out
support
on the bigger deals. Yeah, support group.
Okay, because California's got to be its own region or two.
So it is actually, yeah, we have essentially two of me that cover the state of California.
Right. I believe it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get your background before, but I also want to dive into the details of MSA and what you do. I'll let you choose.
Gotta start with the background. I can kind of build it up from the background and kind of how I got to this point. It'll really kind of focus more on kind of my specialties now. So I'm originally from Washington State, a very, very small city called Sequim, Washington, if you're familiar with the area. Way out northwest corner, right on the water, directly across from Victoria, BC. So
okay, I have been up there recently, like a year or so ago, in the late summer, early fall. My son and I have a friend who grew up on Orcas Island.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And so we got to go sail around the San Juans and stuff.
Perfect.
It was gorgeous. It was beautiful.
Hopefully
there were fires galore from Canada and everything. There was smoke everywhere.
Yep.
It was the air quality was pretty good, but it made for some pretty beautiful sunrises actually. But you could tell that, and driving into Seattle, you couldn't even see the buildings. It was so bad in inland. But
hopefully you got to see it when it was
amazing.
Hopefully it was a little sunny when you were up there. So summertime, it's the most beautiful area in my opinion. Of course, in the summertime you can't beat it. So the other 9 months a year when it's raining, it's not as pleasant. But so that was a big part of the move. But yeah, so I moved from Sequim up there, a little small town again, moved over to Seattle, and I got into heavy equipment operating and kind of working down on the ports in the Seattle area.
Okay.
Started doing that. I was there for about 7 years, working out in the elements and started really getting into safety and environmentals from that job as we were kind of, I don't want to say polluting things more than we probably should have, but it was starting to really kind of rub me the wrong way. So I started to kind of get into safety and environmental coordinator and started working towards everything safety and OSHA at that point, and started taking some training classes and OSHA 500 course, and got really
Right.
familiar with the whole safety background side of things. It's kind of how this all kicked off. So, but
Okay.
then,
Okay. And
yeah,
so you've been in Arizona since when?
so I've been here for 10 years now. So
Okay.
let's see, I flew down here in February of 2015 for the Seahawks Super Bowl. So I'm a big Seahawks fan. So Super Bowl was down here. We flew down, my wife and I, we all flew down and kind of partied for the Seahawks Super Bowl. And then about a month later, I made a decision to move down. So we were kind of in a good spot up there. We had just sold our house and kind of in
Okay.
limbo of trying to find the next one, had a little money in the bank, and I was like, hell, if we're gonna do it, we might as well do it now. It was before the kids started school, so
Right.
we kind of packed up, came down with nothing really lined up, no job, kind of took a risk and really made it work. Came down here and started really getting into more sales at that point. I really wanted to blossom into sales and get more focused on that career. So kind
Okay.
of combining safety and sales, I started kind of selling like nuts and bolts and ended up running a safety and tool division for Wesco Distribution, electrical wholesale house, and
Okay.
selling kind of MSA industrial products. So I was selling a lot of the gas detection, fall protection, and then this position with MSA came about, and I've been here almost 7 years now with MSA, kind of running this crew, and yeah, dominating this
Okay.
territory. It's been nice.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like it's a great company to be in. You're enjoying it.
Yeah, yep. It's one I do intend on hopefully retiring from unless they choose otherwise, but I don't plan on going anywhere.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. Okay. What are some of the challenges in that position?
Oh, the challenges. Let's see, some of the challenges. The main thing is just change. So with any fire department, it's getting harder to convince a lot of people to make the change to really consider a lot of other factors that are out there. So one of our main products that we do sell, it's called the G1. It's our leading SCBA. So it's different from a
Can
lot
you
of,
explain the SEBA for our listeners?
yeah, by all means, it's considered a self-contained breathing
Breathing
apparatus.
apparatus.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Okay.
SCBA is what you'll see on all the firefighters' backs. So that's how actually they get supplied air when they're inside of incidents, any kind of fire. That way they don't inhale any of the fire and the fumes that they're exposed to. So that's where the actual SCBA would come about too.
Right.
So the big
The only
thing,
difference, the main difference between that and a scuba system is the U for underwater.
exactly. Yeah, see, you got it too. Yeah, you know it. So, which is funny because actually some of the people that wear our SCBAs, a lot of their fire training drills are submerging underwater.
Huh.
So they have
Okay.
to be able to actually be fully submerged underwater and still
Right.
work, especially here in Arizona, because as you know, it gets a little warm here and there's a lot of pools in people's yards. So,
Sure.
uh,
And astronauts train that way too underwater for
yep.
same
Yeah,
reasons.
so they have to all be submergible. So yeah, the only really difference between the scuba and the SCBA when it really breaks down is just the components inside the reducer to actually allow you to go deeper into the water. So
Okay.
obviously other safety features here and there, but that's kind of the gist of it, the
Okay.
main differences. So
But MSA makes the best stuff.
we do. Yep. In my opinion, of course, some might beg to differ, but we do offer the most technology, and that's the big change aspect I was kind of referring to, and that's the biggest hurdle that we face is really getting departments to give it a really fair evaluation and try it out. And then once they actually understand how the whole system works, departments have grown to really, really prefer it over our competition too, which has been incredible. So we've really dominated the market across the last couple of years, and the kind of our market share has increased drastically as we've really made a presence in the industry.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything particular that MSA does better than the competitors?
In my opinion, we are very in depth with innovation. So one of our biggest achievements and one of our biggest tasks that we always put upon ourselves is to be always the best, and have the best thing on the market, the safest for the departments, really the safest gear imaginable. So the biggest thing that we like to focus on is our technology side of it. So we are by far the most technology advanced SCBA on the market, especially when it comes to communications. So on communications on the fire ground is pretty much their incoming and outgoing radio communications when they're
Okay.
talking through your actual radios back to the fire chiefs, incident command, all of that kind of thing. So we've really found a way to hone in on that and make the actual communications on the fire ground significantly clearer, which can be a life-saving device just in itself when you know what's kind of going on scene too. So
Okay. I imagine you have to know quite a few different industries and products in your field. And in Arizona, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe all the firefighters are professional, right? There's no volunteer.
correct. Yeah. So
Okay.
the only place that you actually get volunteer departments in the state of Arizona is when you get up into the reservations.
Okay.
So the actual municipality, everybody is it's considered career firefighter, but yeah.
Right. Right. Okay. But they're also the first responders in most, is it counties or I'm not sure how it's broken down.
So it really breaks out. So like even Maricopa County, so Maricopa County has all the different suburbs, Surprise, Peoria, where you are, and all the different sections are they're kind of their own entity. So some places do overlook others, but for the most part, each city is broken down into their own district. So it'd be
Okay.
their own municipality where Phoenix would have their own brand, Surprise would have their own, Peoria would have their own. They kind of make their own decisions per
Okay.
city more than per county, except for the smaller counties. So like, I mean, Yavapai County, because some of the smaller ones are a little different, but just the 7 million people that make up Maricopa, it's a little bit different in that aspect.
Sure. Sure. But another aspect of that I was thinking of is being the first responders, unlike a lot of other big cities that people may not be aware of. If you call 911 for a health problem, the people who are going to show up are the local firefighters,
They are, yep. So dispatch itself will actually
not an
dispatch.
ambulance coming from a
Yep.
local hospital.
So majority of first responders are actually EMS as well. So every fire department's going to have an ambulance in itself. So any ambulance, any kind of rescue device will actually be routed from the fire department directly from dispatch. So that's why you'll typically see an ambulance or a fire truck or anything on scene before the local police will, just
Right.
because the rescue is actually dispatched prior to the police force.
Okay. And then in terms of providing them with the equipment, the best equipment they can get and need, you focus largely on fire, but since there's so much overlap, is there other safety stuff or is it predominantly the fire safety
So
gear?
there, we do all sorts of things too. So working for the fire service side is the kind of the categories that I focus on is
Okay.
the SCBA world. Gas detection is another one. So if they're going into confined spaces, IDLH, which is immediately dangerous to life and health. So any kind of thing like that, where they would wear a gas monitor it would pretty much expose, if they're exposed to like high levels of CO or low levels of oxygen, anything like that, it would send an alarm. That's another area I focus on that fire departments use often, just because when they go into some of these fires, they can be exposed to a lot of different chemicals too. So that makes them really, really dependent on some of the equipment they use, just because it's safer for them. They don't have to worry about explosion limits, anything like that too, on the gas side of
Sure.
things. The other part is the actual turnout gear. So all the material that they wear underneath of their SCBA, so their actual jacket and pants, the traditional stuff you'll see firefighters actually wear is another one focus, and then the actual helmets that they wear. So the fire helmets that go on top. Aside from that, we do offer, I mean, everything else on the industrial side, but the fire service side, those are kind of the main product groups that we focus on for fire
Okay.
departments.
Okay. And how much does that technology, you mentioned MSA is pretty innovative. How much or how frequently does that sort of equipment change or has it changed over the past 10, 20 years?
So for MSA, so 10 years ago when we first launched our G1 SCBA, we actually built it from the ground up. And we are the only manufacturer that's built an entire unit from the ground up in the last 3 decades. So manufacturers don't typically change them very often. They just kind of add to their platform. And
On
that's,
TV shows, I see the old tank with the old hose and
yep.
stuff sitting on there. Okay.
Yeah, so and even our predecessor to our G1 SCBA now was our M7 platform. We had that for over 2 decades too.
Okay.
They don't make a lot of changes. So the NFPA cycle, so every 5 years, NFPA cycle, it's kind of like it's the OSHA of the fire. It's kind of when
Okay.
you kind of go through it too. So NFPA requires particular changes that each manufacturer has to abide by. And then every 5 years they make a change. So typically you would just change your SCBA a little bit here and there to make it actually pass the
Comply.
NFPA approvals
Okay.
type thing, make it compliant. So with the G1, we were actually able to start from the ground up. So we had all of the research and development from the field, spent millions of dollars on asking questions and trials and beta trials and testing and kind of get it the way it is. So the actual buying cycle for fire departments is between 10 and 15 years when they replenish all of their SCBA's. But each one's expected to last between 10 and 15 years, obviously depending on wear and tear and usage and all of that too. But that's expected to get 10 to 15 years. A lot of the other products are just kind of depends on how long they last. So like turnout gear, typically they replenish them every 2 or 3 years, depending on wear and tear, if they burn through them or not. But they also have a 10-year NFPA too, so they can last that
Okay.
long, but it really depends. So yeah, the buying cycle is pretty long on a lot of this gear.
Okay. That's a testament to the quality.
It is. Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So, what's one of the biggest challenges you have in this current position here in the Valley or in Arizona?
So the biggest challenge that I had kind of when I first started, there was not an MSA rep here in this territory before I came on board. So one of the biggest challenges when I started with MSA was really just getting our name out there. So our name wasn't as known as some of our competitors' names are, just
Okay.
because we weren't here. So that's kind of the biggest challenge is again getting these departments to take the opportunity and consider change and just getting them to actually give it a fair evaluation is always our biggest challenge, just going up against some of the bigger key players that have been around longer in this market than we have.
And how do you do that? Do you have like demo competition days? You put the two equipment in side by side or
We
anything like
do,
that? You
yeah.
get to, okay.
So yeah, we'll do all sorts of, it really depends on what the department's trying to achieve out of it, what they want to see, but we'll actually do what they call evaluations where we'll leave 4 or 5 SCBAs, whatever they want us to leave essentially. And we'll leave 4 or 5, our competitors will leave 4 and 5, and they'll burn them and beat them and destroy them for 2, 3 months, and then they'll come back to us with all their feedback and their preferences and
Okay.
kind of go through it from there too. So typically we do come out on top, which is convenient for me. Fortunately, we were able to, again, when we built this from the ground up, we were able to integrate a lot of new technology and a lot of safer and more robust components than
Okay.
than a lot of our predecessors were. So that's kind of our advantage there.
Sure, sure. I mean, it's always nice when the product speaks for itself,
Correct.
but I'm sure this is still like any sales position. It's relationship based, right? And you have to
It
get in with
is.
these guys, and there's a lot of different, like you said, municipalities here in the valley. Right?
Mhm.
All you travel, you said even the southern Nevada, right? So you have kind of a bigger region. How frequently are you on the move?
It varies. So we have a lot of like fire chiefs conventions. So every state
Uh,
does their own kind of convention, or if they're doing an EMS convention, fire chief convention. So when the months of those, I try to travel more. But right now I'm gone about a week per month from home probably. So I
okay.
try to visit each other state once per quarter is kind of my rule of thumb when I'm over in the other ones. So obviously Arizona is my prominent territory where I spend the most time. But yeah,
Okay.
about a week to at the most 2 weeks, depending on the season. But I try to keep it to less than a week a month just because my wife gets pretty irritated with me if I'm gone longer than that. So
Okay. Okay. So yeah, yeah, you got family at home and stuff.
I do.
It's nice that you have that flexibility though. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, okay, besides your position here, what's been sort of one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career in general?
Good question. So really when I moved to Arizona, I had never really done I don't want to say sales before, but because everything I've always done is kind of sales related, but I've never been in this kind of the fire service side of the operation before. So that was
Okay.
really my biggest thing coming on board with, I mean, at least MSA throughout my career is just kind of understanding the whole industry itself because I'd never been involved with fire service before. So that was one of my biggest challenges, kind of overcoming that. And then a lot of it was just the learning aspect of it. So I kind of came from blue collar worker type stuff where I was
Right.
very robust and grunt and that kind of work, and then changing over to the professional side of things and actually kind of altering everything that I'm used to and kind of integrating my previous careers into my new kind of more professional sales career. It's
Right.
been incredible, but definitely a change of scenery by all means.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can kind of relate. Have you enjoyed the challenge?
Absolutely. Yep. I wouldn't change it for the
Okay.
world.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I mean. I'm a nerd, right? I came from an academic background and setting, and as I got more into business, and some of it is sales. I never really thought of it that way, but it's not my forte, right? I
Yeah.
think this stuff's pretty obvious. I'm like, this is a great, here it is. And
Right.
I didn't realize how important it is to educate people and really make sure they understand. And once they do, then it's a no-brainer usually. But kind of, it sounds similar to you, right? You spend a lot of time educating people to the product.
I do. Yeah. And that's kind of my favorite thing to do is the actual, um, kind of what I was talking about before when they're trying to learn about new things and solutions and different aspects of that. That's really my favorite thing to do is actually again kind of the conflict resolution or product solutions, anything like that. That is by far my favorite kind of concept that we do is when I go into an apartment and they'll always kind of vent and tell me like what issues they're having and what they would love to see, what they want to see, what they don't like, what they do like about their current platform. That's what I really like because then I can kind of offer all these innovations that we have and kind of all these solutions and kind of lay it out for them. And it really helps kind of make that give that value add type situation where I'm really becoming an asset for their department, not just another
Right.
salesman coming in and knocking on the
Right.
door too. So
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you talk about sort of short and longer term goals at the company, what you're trying to do, any growth goals probably, or any other markets or things you're trying to get into right now?
yeah, so I've never considered myself salesperson by any means. I don't. There is definitely better salespeople than I am, and I will be the first one to admit that I'm not one that enjoys cold calls or anything like that. I really enjoy what I do now is just because MSA has such a strong presence in the industry that they're already
Right.
kind of familiar with us, kind of what we do. So what I'm definitely better at is kind of falling back on that issue resolution kind of thing. Like if departments have issues they need
Right.
resolved.
Solving
So
problems.
solving problems is my main thing. So kind of my goal and what I would like to see eventually out of this is for me to manage all of the essentially the me's in the market. So then I would kind of be overlooking there's 8 of me that cover the Western 13 states.
Okay.
So my goal is to eventually kind of overlook all of the me's in the industry and kind of be that more supervisor in the backside that can come in
Right.
when there's issues and help resolve issues from a corporate level because then I'm more involved with kind of the big wigs and the ELT within the organization. I'll be a lot better at kind of coming up with resolutions, things like that too. So that's really my main goal in the end is just to kind of move up and up in the company, obviously for one, but really get in a position where I'm actually more helpful to the end users than I feel that I possibly am now.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That's more or less right. Everybody's goal or should be right is to continue
Yeah.
to to grow how much
Yep.
value they
Climb that
can bring.
ladder. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Keep
but,
improving your skills so you can keep helping more and more.
mhm.
Okay. What are the hurdles to that goal?
Right now it's just placement. So MSA, the average FRSM is our actual position, so first responder sales manager. The
Mhm.
average FRSM never leaves this role. So even the
Oh,
manager above us. So my direct manager has been with MSA for I think it's 22 years now. So
okay.
it is very rare that anybody in these positions ever leaves. So that's going to be the biggest hurdle is just a position actually opening up. So everybody works for this company, plans to retire from the company because MSA really is a great company. Our morals, our ethics, everything that MSA is all about aligns with everything that I like in life. So it's nobody really leaves. So that's kind of the biggest hurdle is actually having a position to move to. So
Haha, right. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That's yeah, it's a bittersweet aspect of it, working with a great company. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a benefit, pros and cons. Yeah, I guess
Right.
depending on how you look at it. But yeah. So
Right. Okay. Little pivot more along those lines and in terms of financial success and retirement and future goals. Yeah, what are your plans for to growing your financial freedom?
So kind of where I'm at now. So MSA is phenomenal. They do offer an actual pension plan.
Oh,
So they offer
nice.
pension, they offer MSA stocks. So we have stocks and stuff we can buy into. So I personally add to them every paycheck, just kind of keep it going up. So money I don't even see goes away before I see it. It's perfect before my wife can spend it all. It's even better. And then, so then also 401k. And then I've always kind of dabbled in real estate a little bit myself too. So it sounds like we kind of have that in common from a little bit of the research I've done. So,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of real estate.
I'm a big advocate. I've always kind of heard that where buy land, it's the only thing you can trust in life. That's always going to be there and they can't make any more.
Right.
So, we do have a little piece of property and I'm trying to buy out as much as I could. So, right now we just bought 36 acres up in Yarnell and it's kind of going to be it's going to be part of our forever plan and then eventually kind of break it out and sell it acre by acre and kind of fund all the different projects as we're kind of moving up there. But yeah, from financial freedom. So I do like to play with stocks a little bit. So I try to do as much as I can there. I'm really trying to hone in on understanding the kind of just the backside of all that, kind of starting my own thing, going through it, which it sounds like you're kind of familiar with too on your nerding outside. It sounds like that's a big thing that you like to do. So that's
Yep.
nice. But that's the big thing. Yeah. So yeah, invest real estate, big things. So that's where it's where a lot of money in that. It's kind of like an uncharted territory that I feel a lot of people don't take as much advantage of as they probably should. So
Right, right. And as we wrap up here, one of my reflection questions I have for people is, what do they wish they knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in their career? And a lot of people say, I wish I would have started sooner, right? I wish I would have put more into my 401k. I wish I would have,
yeah,
done that sort of stuff. So besides that, and you just talked about that you're doing that, which is awesome. What do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth and success earlier in your career?
yeah. So all of the above. So obviously I wish I would have started sooner, but I really wish I would have taken the initiative to actually research it sooner. So I've had a lot of people in my past kind of tell me like, hey, you should buy into different things, buy into this, buy into Bitcoin, all these things like, nah, that's
Right.
never going to take off. And here we are now, and there's multimillionaires all over from a 12-cent Bitcoin at one point. So, so kind of missed opportunities. I wish I would have taken more advantage, as kind of what you were saying now. But
Right.
from a knowledge side of things, I wish I would have just known to actually take the risk sooner. So one of the biggest issues that I have now is there's been so many opportunities over my last even 10 years in Arizona that obviously I should have capitalized on, but even moving forward, I need to take more risks is kind of the way that I'm looking at it. So I need to kind of trust myself more and take more risks and really kind of put my finances more in a vulnerable position. And I don't want to say hope for the best, but obviously hope for the best. So
Well, I think have a little freedom to do more of that if you have some diversification, right? If you have
correct.
you have some more conservative stuff, you have some, particularly when you're younger too, right?
Yeah.
That's usually the time to be a little riskier, right?
Yep.
And so I think that's exciting stuff.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay, okay,
we were kind of fortunate with the home that we're in now. We bought during a good time when we first moved here.
okay,
So I've been able to kind of play with the equity here to give me more allowances, which is nice, which really kind of helps that aspect.
right.
So, and then that's kind of the blessing, but now it's just having the capital on hand to do everything I want to do is my biggest challenge because
When the
that's the hardest
opportunities come
part.
up.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, excellent. All right, Shawn. Well, if people would like to connect with you or learn more, what should they do?
So all sorts of different ways. So if you go straight to like msasafety.com, you're able to look me up if you're looking up a particular FSRM for my region, sorry. And go that route, you can give me a call. My phone number is 623-203-9137. I will answer a phone call any time of the day. So if my phone's on me, feel free to call me. Or also email. You can always send me an email. It's just shawn.mellott@msasafety.com. I would love to teach anybody new things, kind of show them kind of what we offer, talk about the industry, really talk about life in general. I'm all for open conversations. So by all means,
All
reach
right.
out.
Solving problems, helping
Solving
people out.
problems. My favorite things in life.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and watching. Thank you very much, Shawn Mellott, for joining me today. We appreciate you sharing your story and insights into success and safety here in Phoenix.
Safety. I like it. Sweet. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Inspired by our guests? Visit phoenixprosperitypodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.